We call that learning.
You
can stay.
I can't that one. I put it in my go-to file.
That's usually the
Funny story.
Probably do that.
Yes, I'll teach you that one.
Q&A.
Okay, so I'll teach you how to do
Okay.
that.
So what's wrong?
Yeah, I'll teach you how to do that.
Any questions?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna take away these files. These are the ones that we have to go over. So you can teach me these ones,
Right, you're
right?
gonna teach me.
I teach you these ones. Yes.
You
Okay.
teach me these ones, I teach you these ones. Okay, so you're gonna teach me these ones.
Okay.
When he worked
Demonstrate your training record,
Chevron,
learners write down questions, person should be able to answer at
and
the
he
end
wanted
of
to
the
go
topic.
Las Vegas, and if you went to see
The learner draws questions, interested in this is kind of something we want to rescue, and this is
really showing up
kind of
with
the
what you
effective
were
guide
doing.
that does this, and I tried to incorporate it, but he does a much better job at it. It's just a little quirky. So during his lectures, he gets people to get out pads and papers.
But I'm getting more into it.
Why don't you like
That's
that?
the easiest way to explain this. Because he just kind of
If it doesn't feel good, I would avoid it on the spot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could guess.
So
Because that often this can be exploring the topic.
it's very odd when you're teaching stuff.
That's
No,
okay,
it-
just tell me.
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
done.
done.
so-
Yeah,
okay.
Good.
So he starts to the topic.
Carry on then.
And
So, and this one was, did this.
We both did that.
he wants you to
She did.
Here's a question.
Oh, yeah.
question, I guess the easiest way to explain it is our terms to be great questions that you don't really understand. I want you to go over.
We got hung up on the empirical and share the list.
Yeah, I don't do that, but I
He just the way he does it is good. And he's,
maybe groups.
but he
I probably do, yeah, you know.
does in twofold. One, he wants you to create notes of things that you're understanding,
In order, I got
and
and jigsaw. Okay.
well, or not quotes, but questions that he's going through that you can find valuable and you can teach other people, and share that information. So it's kind of more like notes, but in question format. And I've tried to do it into smaller sessions. I'm not a big fan of it, just tried it, and I just can't create the way that he does it. But he wants you to,
So he takes notes, but he has a question.
as in
These
questions,
these
so
around like
you
playing
can go out
cards.
there.
I do that. Oh yeah, I'll be over here. I'm keeping this one. I'm gonna try
Like,
this
he's
later.
very much
This is great.
a veteran.
Does he do this drawing afterwards?
No.
And then have other students answer his questions?
No, he wants you to almost, no, it's okay. That was a question. Fine.
Yes.
Give it some.
Yeah. This one here,
And the other one was?
review your thoughts on
I'm trying to work it.
So, in a typical
Yeah, with the
classroom
very
setting,
flashing
Yes.
fly in the
teacher
wall.
asks this
I
question,
don't do that now, but I.
for
did
which
in
he
one
or
of
she
the-
already knows the answer. And there is a one right answer, and ask the student to tell the teacher what they already know. It's similar, which is a complete waste of the question as pedagogical opportunity.
as a which.
Pedagogical opportunity, a chance to learn something.
Okay, never heard of that before, ever.
It's sort of a way.
You really want to,
It's a great copy, the pedagogue is
Okay.
the teacher, like the
Okay.
mentors, the teachers will name
Farm
one.
student or
Anyway, the question
a
in its
simplified
greatest
program.
vitality is asked by the student. because it represents their curiosity. When this is what, so how many candies are we allowed to have? Is a kid question.
Okay.
But it's not a
And
big part
it's
of
big because it directs something that they're interested in. So Robin Jackson's suggestion of shifting the locus of control to the students is questions should be asked by the students. We use the question as teachers to prove that the student knows what we think they know.
Yeah.
But they can do that too, if we shift the locus, if we say, okay, having
I don't know.
read the stuff about best learning, what kind of question would you ask to see if anybody knew about best learning?
Okay.
So the question might be something like,
What are the 5 steps?
what are the 5 steps? Or if 80% of the airtime in the class is owned by the teacher, what are the chances of that being best learning? Exactly, you see?
Okay.
Sharing.
Okay. I see.
So
Okay.
instead of the teacher asking questions, give it to the student saying, if people knew anything, what question would they ask?
Yes, this is more just
In the afternoon, brought stuff.
getting them to bring out the
Yeah,
answers.
these are all that.
Teaching them and you're teaching them and saying, now write questions. What question would you ask to find out if somebody actually knew this information?
And then the teacher can be absent from that. I've done the demo. Designed 5 questions that people should be able to answer. Ask Tanya all 5 of those questions and see if she knows
Yeah.
it.
Answer, yeah.
So you're testing
That's
her.
brilliant.
This is more like-
You have to create
this
the
is more
question
like-
and know the answer.
Yeah, that's
This is very similar to a what's the other one? Q&A. Where's the Q&A one? I don't know where it's at for some reason. Okay. Oh, Q&A. So it's more like
So,
a forward Q&A where you haven't taught them that, but you expected them to do the pre-reading, and so you're just testing them on doing the pre-reading. Oh, okay, now I got
these are all the
I
same
didn't
thing.
understand a word you just said. I did.
So, no, this
I
is
just need
like-
to read this
No.
one second. Learners resources and questions which need to be answered to achieve that goal. Okay, go ahead.
So this is almost like forward thinking Q&A. This is almost just testing the students to see if they already know that knowledge, or for example, if they've done pre-reading that they're supposed to have done. Yeah.
We did get them to do it with each other. So in a class of 25,
Yes.
officially, there is one teacher that's very efficient.
Yes.
If there are 26 teachers,
It makes you curious.
and if there's 13 lessons are going on simultaneously,
Be learners
it's more
or
bang for the
self
buck.
instructors.
When you don't have one hammer on the job site and you take turns using
We
it,
stop.
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
doing
we
all
get-
their stuff.
Yeah, we get that, we
Yeah.
understand that teaching.
Yeah.
a bit yeah, is the best way to
So
learn.
these are all
They just have how to make that
So
calculation.
this is, so when you say these are very similar,
Very similar. They're all very similar.
I would say, like I try to do Q&As all the time, like questions, I try to engage the students as much as possible.
Post a big question and have people come in and jot down answers as we go, and everybody go by and check off, put your check mark beside an answer that I think is okay. There's a bazillion ways to do it.
Yeah.
It's just all the ones I thought of. Another baseball game was done.
It's good, and I'm okay.
So those to me are very similar.
Yeah, yeah.
So this would,
And
Better not
this
mix
whole
it up.
Oh, you
time.
okay, so
They're yours.
Q&As, yeah.
We get to keep these.
Oh, brilliant.
So what I do is
That's definitely don't mix them up.
I was.
So, going back to this, going back to search and rescue, so a better way to explain now that I've clarified it is so that he goes and teaches a lesson, and then without him giving you the answer, he wants you to be able to, okay, what did I just do? And I just gave you a demonstration on navigation, and you plotted a course to the next point, and the next point is going to be X, Y, Z over there. And so he'll get you guys to write that down, and then he'll explain that to the next session of people and stuff like that. So he's very much just a
I'm not gonna sweat. It's just that's the way it is.
pass the information on to me. Okay.
That's the demonstration one. So is that?
Okay,
So
and
now
then
we've done that one. That's
add some.
That's
I don't know what we're doing here, but.
Okay, so let's do them.
We've got a nice little.
Let's talk about Okay, so this is something that we do in for JHA's, hours. And so it's
Me too, man.
more just like,
And I used to have
we're doing
little
John
pieces of paper,
Hazard
then I used
analysis.
pieces of paper. So now I have this book,
She's not so much.
and I work backwards and forwards, certain things coming in from the back, and I poured my coffee into every page like that, which was nice, and then I worked forward with other stuff.
Different aspects of JHA,
One at a
as they're
time. I keep
talking
the
about
others.
it, so that's not you, you're filling out, but
So what
you're
do we do with this?
engaging everybody else.
I'm asking
That's
for
it.
instructions.
Yeah, everybody adds something, right, this is a procedure, okay, you just have one talk about it, okay, now, pass up, next up.
Want to call this section to a close with a couple of comments and some questions for you. But over here, I want to put a word on that exercise that you were doing and on a whole bunch of things. It's called repertoire. Good teachers have repertoire. Means they got 16 or 20, you've got 16 because that's the not around the baseball games. So 16 or 25 or 1,000 ways to do things. It's like you have several recipe books for feeding various numbers of people. You don't always make the eggs the same way because people get bored. Or you don't always make eggs because some people are allergic or whatever, and you have repertoire. We realize that with beginning teachers, when the class is going very well, they think they're wonderful, and when the class doesn't go well, they revert to power because they don't have repertoire. They don't have enough other tricks, other options, other possibilities, and they get anxious. So then they start arguing from the position of power. And that's where you can tell a novice from an experienced person. The experienced person has repertoire. There is nothing magical about these little gray pieces of paper, except it gives you and your partner some material to work with. This is not the whole of the teaching repertoire. It's not necessarily applicable to your area of work. What is important is that you develop repertoire so that when you, and this is the segue to our next step on feedback, which we'll do after coffee. When you observe your students responding really well to an activity, and it keeps showing up in the best learning, and you keep having the best teaching experience, do that again. But don't just do that. Keep looking to expand your repertoire just in case somebody comes who doesn't respond to that idea. The more repertoire you have, the more you observe, the more you are, as my mentor and dream teacher Maxine Green says, the more wide awake you are to other possibilities, the better your students will perform because you'll find a way to connect with them. So you've connected with your partner on things that you've already done. You can take the envelope and the little gray pieces with you, but what I want you to do on your way to coffee is to write on the wall up there on the way to the coffee station the things that you do. You can use the titles that I used on the little cards. If someone's already written a title that you use, just put a check mark beside it. And then we'll take a look at what the repertoire map is for this particular group. You'll get a sense from reading that I do this list. What do people use that are in your line of work? Because that's a good thing to copy. You're not teaching acrobatics necessarily, so you're not doing a lot of trust exercises necessarily, but you might be if you were. So take your I do this list and make sure that your things either get written in your own hand up there or a check mark beside that if somebody already written it before you got there. Grab a coffee. It's 10:15. We'll reconvene about 10:30 and move on to feedback and preparation for your lessons.
Elaine, what time would you like to have lunch?
Break. We just had breakfast. Who's ready for lunch?
But
In terms of our class. Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Only because we have to pre-order
Yes.
and we have to put our order in an hour ahead of time.
Well, could we say 12 in the name of tradition?
Absolutely. So
Does that
sometime during the break, could you write down what you would like for lunch on this piece of paper? And the soup of the day is Thai beef, and it is gluten-free.
Okay.
Okay? So this will be right here.
So there's some pens beside the coffee station for writing on the I do this list. Thank
Do
you.
you want me to ask?
Thank you for managing our general well-being and weight gain.
Yeah, no problem.
I already ate my day's worth of calories before breakfast.
I'm Estelle.
I had family in Cleveland from California this morning.
Oh.
So that was a little tough to sleep early.
Well, there's fruit and very stale buns
Yeah.
over there.
Well, yeah, it
Moderate
was
stale
good.
buns. So we're going right, I do this.
Okay.
You I do this.
Going right.
Yes.
Did your instructions include that we were supposed to complete something in the book?
No, up on the wall.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But we saw everybody writing in their books.
Who knows what they were doing?
They're just writing in a book.
They were writing in their books, they could be composing a grocery list.
That's what we're doing.
This is my grocery list. I don't do, I wanna do.
Kind of nerve-wracking having here.
I know.
Scotty, it's interesting, what you're talking about is an expectation that we have of something in the educational literature called time on task.
Mm.
Are people doing what I assign them to do? And
What happened to me right just now was, am I not doing something I
exactly,
was supposed to do?
exactly. So you have that anxiety. Most teachers think that they set the conditions of what people are gonna work on, which is utter hubris. It's just arrogance of a high order. There's no more you working on my agenda than you moving into my house for the day.
That's right.
So I have to give space to bringing to a common place what you know and do and care about, and what I know and do and care about. And if you have a family member who's ill, or people are arriving from away from a Christmas vacation, or your daughter-in-law is about to have a baby, your attention is gonna come and go from my agenda.
I've been through that.
Yeah, and you know, never mind tomorrow.
No.
So I'm happy to answer your question, as long as the awareness is that this is not an expectation that everybody's gonna be doing the same thing all the time. Especially that everybody's gonna be doing what I say.
I'll do
I'll
that.
give you the big pen.
Big one. Okay.
So if your word is already up there, just put a check mark beside it. I do that, I do that, I do that. So
I just put them all away. I had them all in my nest.
you can take those if you got totally distracted.
Yeah, we get to keep these?
Yeah.
Good.
And the envelope.
I was gonna ask, I didn't know if we have one.
Well, it's winter ball season, so not much is televised. I can't afford to go to Puerto Rico. But it's almost spring training, starts in January. It's my answering machine message changes with the seasons. It's spring training more than my heart. Thomas Boswell is a wonderful fiction writer, wrote a book called How Life Imitates the World Series. It was just quite lovely. Baseball has the best writers of all the sports. There are some people who write about football, but most of the fiction writers or philosophical writers write about baseball. But his argument is that baseball is the only sport that has the capacity to change the movement of time. It's because an inning is defined by 3 batters up, 3 batters down, but it can last from
forever, yeah.
3 batters to through the order any number of times. And so an inning itself can be a few minutes to half an hour. And then a game can be any number of innings, typically 9, but most recently in the majors, 17 inning game.
Yeah.
The only person that didn't call in a pitch was me. And it just it has an elasticity like life. You know how life moves faster or slower depending on your emotional connection with that event? Both joy and sorrow are different paces.
Time is elastic.
Yeah, time is elastic.
No question.
And so he writes about baseball having that capacity to make obvious the elasticity of time, which Einstein, that was his relativity.
It's darker than that.
Anti-gravity, and all the sci-fi writers as well. Space-time continuum and the wormhole and through into the alpha quadrant, all those concepts are now represented in modern physics. But they first occurred in the brains of science fiction writers who said, this ain't the life I'm in. So the kids on the short bus who see and hear and find the world different. That's where the innovation is. And I love that story, how it is. So there you go. And plus I sit in front of the deli and I things.
And as we say, time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it does. So you're going to record yourself?
I am. Well, me and John are very similar.
You and John are
Similar.
Did you put yourself up here?
Yeah. I did the pink.
You're pink, how lovely.
I added pink and then
Oh,
Pink is
checked.
good.
okay, we're the pink team.
Pink is good.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Do you guys have any ideas for like instructor feedback forms that you guys want for the BCCSA? Thinking about changing the format so you guys can view it. It's more like anonymous, I guess.
Like online, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
We don't see them right now.
Yeah. For core you don't, but for the other ones it's a paper form, right? But it's
Yeah.
not anonymous, which is a problem.
Is it a problem?
I don't know. Maybe they're not as
Yes.
honest.
So if you read all of the handwritten ones and then you
They're
read,
more honest with it.
are they more honest with the
Online.
computer ones?
Yeah.
They are?
Or more
Yes.
detailed.
More detailed?
I think it's for core because it's required though, because it's a little different though.
Oh, you required them to fill it out?
Yeah, or they think it's required, so
Okay.
they do.
Scotty, he didn't
Oh,
come and
okay,
change
well,
the
because that was
copy,
my
so
next
we're not
question,
down
is
to
how many
10
people do you
o'clock.
actually have filling out
Bilge
all-
water.
because normally when online
You
comes,
brought
you
him in
get
your
to-
pot.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll refresh my keys when I do. Yeah.
So because you force them to do it though, you don't, it's a must.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what we should change the format or not, or just leave it the way it
So we should do it online. If you make it a must,
is. Yeah.
if you make it a
You
must,
still
then you should do
lose
it.
10% of people, I think.
Yeah. This is the only thing about
Still,
studying is that the
still
writing
still
class,
come
they're
down.
there.
You don't have to take a vote.
They can do it right then and there. If you send them a survey, it's on their own time, that's not.
I'm taking a vote, Mom.
Then at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
you are.
sometimes you
They
have
were
to sort
the
those that come up and stuff. But, if the instructor gives enough time, then it's a non-issue. But
Yeah.
then the instructor, if you're gonna do a handwritten.
I should have had a vote.
Then the instructor actually has to speak. My experience is the instructor has to say, hey.
You're driving?
No, just.
It was good, I can't.
You could just say here's your evaluation function.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's what it looks like right now.
So the instructor needs to drive, to drive.
And bridges are
But
particularly,
if you're finding it that you're getting almost 100%, people are filling them out after the fact that you're making it mandatory and
Okay.
becoming more detailed and more accurate than both.
yeah.
I've never done online, so I have no idea.
Have you seen their papers, you know?
Because it like,
Well,
every
every,
like one
just to
sentence
give you a
is for
clue
like
about
the
the
feedback
general
one I feel like,
status,
but the online one for core, it's like
named after a big
paragraphs.
forest.
Not every one of them.
Because they're also typing, people don't like to write.
Handwriting works. And like, I was thinking like
It's got a
the phone, but
two-story
I don't think
atrium
that
kind
is.
of log,
Yeah,
lots of
technically it's
places to
probably
gather.
better. And some people do it on the
Marbles,
phone if they can.
wood paneling of various
Is it a link
kinds
to
up all the walls.
Oh,
So
if I can
really
make
it's
it
a
outside,
showpiece
make it
for the wood, wood industry, it's quite beautiful.
Because if you do I know
all
sometimes I get
many
monthly
stories,
surveys
offices
with them,
above, and
and so I just do it on my phone, my iPad, or my computer, depending on which, and I just check mark.
Yeah. Well, in the huts, I'm still in a hut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think education is the lowest rung on the totem pole.
When it says,
I didn't
please
know,
go, so it'll take 10
I
minutes.
did all of my
When it says it'll take 2
study
minutes,
at
3 minutes, I'll do it. As soon as it hits 5,
in the
I'm
fabric.
gonna take it out.
Good point. So I'll have to make a paper and actually time it.
I don't mind doing a couple minutes, but if you tell me it'll take 7 to 10 minutes, forget it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not just like the instructor feedback, we want feedback on the
He
course
was
too,
one
like,
who really
it's
enthused
applicable to them and
teaching
what they're
us.
gonna
He
do.
was so enthusiastic.
And like with the paper form, we
Fabulous.
don't do anything with it, because it's now it's paperback and it's time to be.
I was listening to your story.
Evaluate it, so we have to switch to the
Oh, I
online.
can do that.
His name is Craig Gillis.
But is it possible
He
for
came in
us
the first
to
day.
know, 'cause we.
Yeah, that would be the
know.
biggest thing, would be, like, I don't, I'm trying to explore different options, like Google Forms or something, like, making it so like, they can, it'll be anonymous, but like,
He
you
did
can
teach
still
a
see
3-hour
Comments.
Comments
Yeah.
section.
without saying anything. Then we came back the next day and said, so what do you think of that? I didn't know
They
where
really
to.
do.
I know.
totally
To
careless.
It's
teach
what the
subsequently is a
It's what the student
particular
thinks
field of
is
study,
important.
teaching with your mouth shut.
And,
As teachers,
you know, if you have,
it's
oh,
tend
you
to
always have one
do a
student
lot of
that doesn't
leather,
know something,
where
she can't please everybody.
action is with the
And,
students, it's with
but
the
they can
students,
help
it's
try
with
to
the students.
focus
I have to keep saying that, because I get all wrapped up in my story,
Yeah.
and my right answers. And
But as
Parker Palmer,
instructor,
who's a
the
scholar's
competences
work
or
I followed,
trauma
has done a lot of work in post-sec, shifting to loss of control, but he says,
the numbers that
one
we're
of his
using,
books,
and all the written comments, so.
it all works fine until
Even
one
for
of the students
conferences as well?
says something in there
But
That's pretty valuable.
It is pretty valuable.
that I know is absolutely wrong.
Huge feedback.
So then my question is, how long do I wait going to smack them with the
No, no.
wires. Because it's so
I
teen
think it is.
controls
Well,
that,
yeah, as long as
and
I
you
think
lose
it is,
trust.
yeah, that's
So he
fabulous.
says, do I wait till another student
I'll have to
corrects?
talk to Shirley about that,
Do I
like
wait
the.
a lesson and see if percolating on the idea
Yeah, 'cause, you know, a lot of
causes
instructors
different things to
don't.
happen?
I
How
think
long
for me,
do
it's
I
very
stay
difficult for
true
the instructor
to my promise to myself as opposed to my promise to the learning concern?
Not just like.
And it's a
What is it
pretty
about
scary thing, like what people are going down, what you
The
know
wrong
with your
road.
own children, if they're going down the wrong road, what do you do? It's, there's no single right answer to that. It depends.
Yeah.
Depends on
And that's how our
the
world is
children.
now, it's like a scale
Depends
of
on
1 to
how
5,
much
like,
trust you
good or
can
bad.
build
Yeah.
in the community.
You gotta go.
Where
But.
you might say, you know,
Or what
that's
needs improvement.
right, and you have the courage and the confidence to say that, and you don't need Parker Power to interview with the sort of truth, because you've developed a lot of trust with each other, but man, that's hard.
For the core, when we see that.
Would you see that a lot? Yeah, I bet you
Oh,
do.
yeah.
My beginning,
Yeah.
It depends on
It's tough.
the situation.
Well, I'm thinking about making it soon.
You can smack them with the sword on it.
One more time on it.
Immediately. Best example is your chair in a meeting.
That's different.
Because, you know, like,
More honest.
put the hand up one to talk a second time to the motion. Sorry, can't do that. Since when? Well, since Robert wrote his rules.
Yeah, not even until it's something.
That-
Sometimes you get.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback.
Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brandon?
Yeah, I just gonna write that down.
Remember it in the year.
Where's the menu we're supposed to look at?
Oh, yeah.
I stole it.
Oh.
What was the soup of the day?
Something else we.
Thai
beef.
beef.
What was it?
Thai beef.
Thai beef.
Like Thai beef.
Beef.
Oh, beef.
I think the soup of the day for
Local, and really, and she was trying to get off the coffee. She was having cheese. And she's very local. It was local. And I had seen her speak, heard her speak at another. She went through her routine in class. And, but she kept apologizing. And then after the class, she apologized. I said, it was fine. You know, and I actually said it out loud. It's fine, it's okay. You're having a tough day. Just take your time, whatever you need to do. You know, and I just went with it instead of reacting to it. My reaction was to say it's okay. So then it was okay for everybody, and it was okay for her. And she forgave herself. It was okay.
And that is a signal of you as an experienced education, lunch and no need for power. If you have
Yeah.
a need for power, which might be even teachers do, they don't have much repertoire, so they gotta keep control, then they can't work any of that kind of thing. They can't relax into the, you're having a bad day, create space for you.
And
It's,
they-
I'm in
they
charge
let
here.
themselves get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, it always is. No, no.
I,
What
at one
else?
point,
No, that's it.
But you get non-trade and a beverage.
That's not bad.
trained as a, to do workshops on harassment, sexual harassment. And I had to zone.
A beverage?
And I did all the
No,
elementary
it's
schools
water.
and secondary school in that zone.
Just gonna have water.
So I was in this elementary school. And the principal did everything in his power to be
I'm gonna go ask what you're doing.
Yeah, Scotty, you know what, as far as I'm concerned, harass is still 2 words.
I come with you.
In front of us, mostly females.
Excuse me.
So, well, that's not what we're here about, yeah. And I just kept on.
Guys, if you trip and fall, I think you're more of a guy than
You know, I knew I wouldn't win that one.
No.
And of course, he's trying to his power as the little Hitler of this elementary school. So I just took my focus off him and just kept on with what it was I had to do. And got through it.
But the centering of you and the confidence of you as an individual is what underlies your ability to do that. When we get stuck in knowing the content, showing how smart we are, then we're really vulnerable
Yes.
to that kind of thing. If we are learners and we keep a curious stance, we say, well, what's interesting about this? He's obviously doing something that's contrary to our goals. That's interesting. But we have our goals.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, but we're interesting, says, that's interesting.
When I was a brand health and safety coordinator for city electrician, I used to have to go and speak like to the entire electric department or city police. Right. And I used to have to go and speak to
They're not
them in the
biometric.
gym at the university, they were fun.
Oh, yeah.
The electric departments are because I'm up there speaking and talking about our health and safety program, what we're doing